listeners from around the world. Are you ready? Do you love movies, music, animation and art, acting, gaming, and all things creative? Well, you've come to the right place. Introducing your host, award-winning writer, director, voiceover artist, and owner of MLA Entertainment, Keiko!
Thank you, Josh, and hello, everyone. I'm Keiko. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Keiko's Diary, your favorite podcast for all things entertaining and creative. While I wear many hats, I consider myself first and foremost a storyteller, which is why I started this podcast, to connect with other creative minds and share their stories with all of you while having a great time doing it. The guest joining us today is such a special friend of mine and a hustling machine, but first,
shameless plugging!
Hop on over to our YouTube channel, MLA Entertainment, and watch our animated web series, Project Infinity. It's got a voice cast from all over the world, a gripping action sci-fi story, and hours of love and hard work have been poured into it. I wouldn't suggest it if it wasn't worthy of your time, so go look at it right now. You'll thank me later. Like, subscribe, and leave your questions and comments to show your support for this podcast and MLA. Now on with the show. He is an artist outside of New York whose love for comics and anything creative is off the charts. When it comes to the convention scene, he's your guy. He's the showrunner of Inbeon Con, which I've had the honor of contributing to 2 years in a row. He is 1/3 of the Nerds of the Round on YouTube, and he's here today. Everyone say hello to... Sebastian Bonet.
Hello, how you guys doing?
Hey everyone. Yes, so happy to have you on the show, Sebastian.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're such a good friend of mine, and you're just such a well-rounded person. I can't wait for the viewers to become more familiar with who you are and what you do.
So no, you're awesome. Again, thank you again for reaching out to us. It's been a beautiful relationship building. Love what you and everyone's been doing at MLA Entertainment with Project Infinity. Congratulations on you guys with the series. Me and the entire Inbeon family and the creative community appreciates what you guys have done for us at the convention.
Well, thank you so much. It's been so much fun. Say hello to the fans and tell them just a little bit more about what you do.
Hey guys, so I am Sebastian Bonet. I am 1/3 of the Nerds Around, which is a podcast, geek culture podcast. We have done creative series interviews, which have featured Keiko and various other creators. We talk about geek culture stuff. Like right now, we're covering What If from Marvel, and we just have fun doing that. I am a comic book creator, which I debuted in 2016 with Dead Planet. I have since then worked on small projects, which include Rich Dresden's Lucky Zilla number 20 as a writer, A.A. Rubens, who you probably saw on the show from Comic Book School, and the anthology for his comic in Comic Book School, the section Mr. Stupendous. I've worked on Damn Heroes, and I work closely with Inbeon Studios, where again it's a company for creatives by creatives, and I have worked as a showrunner for them for 3 years. I used to be the editor-in-chief for their online magazine, and just a jack of all trades. That is Sebastian Bonet.
That is a good way to put it. You're a real-life superhero. I tell you, you will not meet a busier person than you. And you just make it look so easy, which I'm sure it's stressful, but you just make it look like a breeze.
It's a lot of coffee and Red Bull. That's all I gotta say.
That's the secret. Take notes, everyone.
It's fun. But yeah, I don't know. I've just been I've been enamored a lot for many years with comics and everything, and just the whole creative process with comics, and then that fell into a love of animation and just creating stories. So that's how that's really what drives me, is just like telling stories to people and helping people tell their stories.
Well, I'm so happy that you decided to share your stories with the world. And so I would like to turn the clock back a little bit before we talk about your current projects and what's going on right now. I would like to ask you, what is your very first memory of life?
Oh, my very first memory of life. Yeah, that's a hard one because it's like, my dad tells me that, oh yeah, your first memory is just yelling out for me, going, Dadu, lechita, when he was like getting up for work, yelling for milk and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember just really growing up in a trailer park in Georgia when my dad was in the military, and would be home with my mother. Our dog, Budweiser. Yes, our dog was named Budweiser, but it's the smartest golden retriever you ever knew.
Golden retriever, I love those.
Yeah, that's really my first experience with kind of like just memories right there. It's just remembering the very little bit of time I can remember of in Georgia there. But I was Bronx born. So, so yeah, we ended up in Georgia because, like I said, my dad was in the military. So,
yeah, I didn't know that. That's really cool. That's a pretty nice memory, I would say. Sounds like a warm memory to look back on, and the dog and everything.
It is. It feels like, I guess that's why I like a lot of TV shows, because it felt like a TV memory. It's like, and then growing up in the Bronx, like, did I really have that memory, or was I just watching a TV show? It's like, no, that actually happened. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I lived by the train tracks. We heard the train drive by every once in a while. Hence my love for trains. They do have a secret love for trains.
That is really neat.
And yeah, it was in a trailer park, and they weren't like trailers that you hitch and move. They were like stationary trailers, and he lived there off base. So it was interesting.
I know what you mean. How there's some memories very early in life you're like, did that even really happen? Like there's certain, like, I remember memories of video games. I just have like an image in my head, and then I would do the research and I would be able to find it. And I was like, I confirmed that memory was real.
I know. It was like, yeah, did that game really exist? What was it? The E.T. game. I remember a lot of people was like, that doesn't exist. I was like, yeah, because the creator pretty much purchased them all and tried to bury them all.
Is that right?
Yeah, I actually saw an actual copy out of the video game museum in Italy called Vigamas, and they had one of the dug up copies on display of E.T. the video game. It was such a bad game that the developer purchased all the games and buried them somewhere in the middle of the desert.
That is both terrible and fantastic. So going on from that, what you can remember, you ended up living in the Bronx and such. What were you like as a kid, and how did you end up where you are today?
I think I was a troublemaker as a kid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Me and my folks, we spent the year in Staten Island, so that's not a proud badge I have, Staten Island. I'm gonna get a lot of crap for that one. Yeah. But lived in the Bronx most of my life, grew up in the Bronx, and I was one of those people who saw the Bronx kind of like change over the years, where it was like when we moved there, it was like after buildings burnt down, like, because for years the Bronx was known as the burnt down Bronx. So there were a lot of abandoned buildings near where we lived at. I think we lived in a new development or something, or it's just a building that was fine. We lived across the street from the Bronx Zoo for many, many years. So definitely and the Bronx Zoo was one of my first jobs. So growing up, I always had a love for drawing, always used to love to draw, love to create, love to use my imagination. Especially for a while when I was an only child for a while before my brother Sean was born. And I would create like worlds, like with all the toys that I had, like different worlds, different with like major cities and everything, do the sounds. And then, when I wasn't doing that, I was drawing. My art really took a turn when I went to high school. I went to Monroe Academy of Visual Arts and Design, and then I started falling in love with like comics and all that. And my first comic was a What If comic, and that's what really brought me into the world of comics, starting to create my own characters and everything. So that's really like where that love for creation really like started to flourish even more with that outlet. And then I was a really big Marvel head. A lot of people like, I was like, I only had one character I liked in DC, which was Batman. Go figure. Batman, I thought was the best DC character. Yeah. But I liked a lot of Marvel characters because I felt there was in a lot of the characters more diversity and more realistic stories that called out to me, and like personal demons and everything that these characters fought through. Because growing up in the Bronx in the late 80s, early 90s, you see stuff, you see people go through things and everything. So where it be through alcoholism, drug use. I mean, I unfortunately I was exposed to a lot of that at a young age. I don't shy from it because it made me who I am. Or it's like, I don't want to be that person. Let me, it made me a better person because I saw bad examples out there.
Exactly.
And I've had a lot of great examples in my life that, like my resource room teacher, Miss Mercurio, who would always come by every birthday and would bring me a book, would bring me something creative. Steve Friedman, who I want to give a shout out, who ran a photography studio in New York, and he would always like give me gifts that had to do with creativity and helping with a creative mind. And so it was like that I had a lot of mentors like that growing up. And again, that's why I kind of stuck with the Marvel characters, because I saw that realism in there where these heroes, they were fighting and they were on their journey. And I was like, I want to create stories like that. I want to create stories about people on their journeys and to get close to that realism. Went to college at NYT. Unfortunately, I had dropped out due to financial reasons. But again, then I went into the world of sales for a very long time in my 20s. I was one of those guys that knocked on your door to sell you Primerica insurance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I as much as like people like, with everything with Primerica, I gotta say it helped me break out of a shy, because I was very introvert. I was very shy, didn't know how to speak with people. That kind of broke that show. That kind of broke that and kind of allowed me to talk more to people.
Yeah, I can see how it kind of just throw you out there and you just have to sort of get used to it. I can see that.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, I tell people like, if you're shy and all that, you want to break out of that, learn how to take a no from a person, learn how to speak to them and get like 10 no's. And, it will humble you quickly, but also too, it will help you break that. Like, do any sales job where you have to talk to people, it breaks that kind of like, I'm going to retreat myself, being an introvert and all that.
Yeah.
And it gave me respect for a lot of people who go into business for themselves too, because that's not easy. You have to talk, you have to network. So I don't know, my paths have been very funny, and it's just like I take lessons from every single path I have walked down on, and I've learned to fail. Pretty much. And recently I learned fail means first attempt in learning. And I was like, oh, so a lot of these were just first attempts in learning. So I've been doing everything right for the first time.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, you seem like a very well-studied person just simply because you've done so much in your life. And you can definitely see that you've taken it in, whatever you were doing, you learned something from it. And I think that's the most valuable education out there, is to really soak in whatever your environment is.
Yeah, and for me, it's always been because I would have to say it's also to working on my mentals, working on my outlook, because the me today was very different when I was like 18 or 19, just looking how the world was and on. Because for me at that age, the whole world revolved around, when I was like 16, 15, it revolved around the Bronx. That's all I knew. Then when I went to college, the world revolved around New York. And I mean, I give credit to my wife too, because with her help and everything too, it helped me see the world revolved more than New York. And it revolved around, because even during my Primerica days, I was a little bit of the party animal. Yeah. Those were my party days. But I didn't really think much about seeing the world or like, growing as a person at that time until like, I met my wife, started just like traveling more. And I was like, there's more to this. And I was like, I need to be a student and not a master professional. So I decided to be a master student of things and working on constantly learning and bettering my mentals when it comes down to it. And I just wanted to be the best me, because I'm like, when we have kids, I want to transfer that, but like, yeah, I want to be the best me. Not just, well, definitely for me, but also too, it's like, what is that image that people see me as? I just like, and like look at myself like, I don't know, like me as little me. I was like, I don't know. But it was fun though. I would never change any of the lessons I've learned in the world. And again, I thank everyone for my journey of who I am today.
Well, I would certainly say you're doing a wonderful job. Now, we're going to play a fun game next. We're going to change course a little bit. This game is called
The 60-Second 411.
my favorite part of the show. We've got 60 seconds, and we're going to see if we can answer 15 questions before time runs out. So do you think you're up for it?
I'm up for it. Whenever you're ready, let's go. I've been dying for this game. Let's go.
Let's
I got it.
Go for it. You got this. Okay, starting the timer in 3, 2, and 1. Favorite color?
Red or black?
Favorite movie?
The Thing.
Favorite song?
Corn, Twisted Transistor.
Favorite TV show?
Currently The Circle.
Greatest fear?
Drowning.
Oh, hot or cold weather?
Neither.
Night owl or morning bird?
Night Owl.
Favorite game?
James Bond N64.
Ooh, favorite food?
Fried chicken.
Oh, favorite holiday?
New Year's.
Favorite subject in school?
Art.
Favorite place in the world?
My home.
Oh, biggest pet peeve?
Squeezing toothpaste wrong.
Favorite Spice Girl?
Scary Spice.
Oh yeah, indoors or outdoors?
Bit of both.
Oh my goodness, Sebastian. I think you have the best score in the history of the podcast.
There we go.
Your time, you did that in 38 seconds. That is crazy.
Ooh.
Great job. Wow, we just flew right through those, didn't we?
Oh, yeah, we did.
Whew, that's intense. You did such a good job. And those were really good answers, too.
Yeah, but I mean, with pet peeve, I always stick with the toothpaste because that's the one pet peeve I have when people squeeze it wrong. I'm like, no, you gotta squeeze it from the bottom to go up, not from the top. What are you doing? Not from the middle either. Like, no.
It's just wrong, isn't it?
Yes.
That is so funny. I always love hearing what people's pet peeves are.
It's fun. I mean, and also too, it's always easy. Like everybody's like hot or cold. I'm like neither. I'm like I like the fall and the spring because it's like right there in the nice middle.
Right, happy medium. I see. Yes, I agree with that one. Well, thank you for playing that with me, Sebastian. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you. That was fun.
Yeah. And we've got another game coming up later. You can look forward to Truth or Dare. Yes, it's gonna be fun. So. But yeah, you and the CEO of Inbeon, Eric Hutchison, you have a wonderful relationship. And so could you tell us more about how you guys first met and became this power team?
I met Eric when it was just him, his wife, their son Ethan. I don't know if Ava was born at the time yet, but it was at Big Apple Comic Con. It was just him at the table selling the comics, and Inbeon Studio this was before like a lot of like they believe their first con or whatever. When it came down to it, he was just really like starting this up. I know he had started it with good buddy Chris Culp, who's awesome dude too. We are working on some great projects together right now.
Cool.
When those come out, it's gonna take over the world.
Oh,
that's what I like to say. But yeah, I met him there. Like it was funny because I had just taken a business course and it said network with people. I didn't see him at the table because he was behind a bunch of books, like really like or I think like I'm trying to remember specifically that day, but I know it was his wife I first approached because I thought she was the creator behind all the stuff.
Right.
I was like, hey, yeah, oh, this stuff is dope and all that. And she goes, oh, you gotta talk to my husband. Yeah, he was behind the table, behind the book rack. I didn't see him, and then he popped up. And then we had a long conversation. He gave me his business card. I was like, cool. And then I saw him again that year at, there used to be a show called Special Edition New York City that used to be ran by the same guys that did New York City Comic Con, Repop. And he was there again, and I was happy to see him. And again, we had a conversation. It was a really long conversation at the show. He told me he had a convention out in Long Island. I was like, cool. I ended up registering for his show that year. And that was when I decided to debut my comic, which was Dead Planet. And I remember getting there the night before. He was setting up there and that's the first time I met Law and one other member of the team at the time. And Law was helping him set up. We met briefly. He introduced us, and then Eric said, go ahead, rest up in the room. Here's your badges. Here's your table right here. So me and my wife set up, went up to the room, came down the next day, pulls me to the side. He's like, listen, focus on, who you meet at the show today. Don't think about the money you're going to make. Just do me a favor. Just focus on, make connections.
Right.
I was like, cool. Yeah. And, in my mind, I was like, that's stuff I was learning in class, network. That's where I met George Medina. Who from Catch the Craze. Shout out to George and Sam. I met George at that show, and George was actually the first person to buy my comic. And we've had a great relationship ever since then and all that. And George has been on the show many times, invades the show whenever he wants. I'm like, yeah, come through, dude. And it was after the show, Eric pulled me to the side and said, he wants to gauge how I was doing it. And I respected that. And it was from there that we kept building a relationship as friends and everything. I would go out to some of the shows that he did. He did like a show called Comic Bar Con, which used to be a show they ran in Long Island, which was at a bar. Well, literally, it was in a bar that had a stage where they had live music, artists, table set up. So it was like a more chill comic scene.
Yeah.
And then he saw that I did a lot of posts. He's like, hey, you do a lot of posts on pop culture and all that. He's like, would you be interested in writing articles for Inbeon Mag? I was like, sure, why not? I'm doing nothing. I'm sitting at work all day. Might as well. Let's do it. And he gave me a chance to, kind of push out my writing chops with that, and kind of gave me that whole thing to go. I mean, and just building relationship with Eric, Law, and everybody in the Inbeon team, that's really where the relationship started. And Eric is one of those guys that, if he sees that you're good at something, he'll give you the reins on that, test you out to see how you like it and everything. And it's kind of like a test. If you like it, run with it. If you don't, he gave you the test. All right, no loss. Let's find something else that you like. Right. And that's what it really was, as I already said. And since then, it's like I value the leadership and the friendship that me and my wife have been able to build with his family and with everyone that's been on this journey at Inbeon, because it's one big family. That's literally what we are.
Yeah, well, that's just wonderful. And that's the dream, when you can, become friends, but also do great things and do a great business together. That's just the ultimate. So I'm glad you two have been able to do both.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always excited, not just for everybody, when everybody is succeeding in what they're doing. I genuinely get excited, because it's we started from the bottom up, we here, like that kind of thing. Yeah. But it's I don't know, we've gone through a lot together. Even with the pandemic started, there was a lot of questions, what are we gonna do? There's no cost, there's no this, and it was just running off of ideas with each other and all that. And even when I became the showrunner, it was just funny, because he had just left New York, and so he needed someone to help with running the show up here. He was like, listen, Laws ran the show. He's not the showrunner this year. It's I'm looking for a showrunner. He's like, would you be interested, since you're doing a lot of cons and everything? I said, sure. I mean, and it gave me a lot of respect for showrunners, because it was the last time that the convention was in person. Right. And so we had a lot of ideas for an in-person show, and then the following year went virtual, and I was like, oh, we gotta change up this game now. And then it's as you've already seen, the show's been virtual 2 years in a row now, which has been pretty awesome.
And it was bigger than ever just this year. It was so successful.
Yeah, we doubled our attendance. We showed that a virtual show can actually make money, even though it's people are like, yeah, it's not a profit to brag about, but it's no, if the model can make money, it can make money. We can actually sell this model. But at the end of the day, the message that we wanted was that it's also a show where people can come and connect, where people can come and learn. And that's what we wanted. The core was that it was a core show where the community can come together. I say the money thing because it's we show that it can make money, not because it's only because we're looking to make money. It's because we're listen, if this works, we can transition this to all the other creators who we worked with to help them fund their projects. Because we're always talking about what holds a lot of creators back is the fact that there's just no capital there to help them with their projects. That's why you have a lot of people that turn to Kickstarter and all that. So that's what we saw with the show this year too. We're like, well, we doubled everything from what we did last year to this year. It ran smoother. There are a lot of elements, so it's like, how can we improve on those elements to not only, you know, better the show, but to help everyone who's also participating at the show and everyone's also experience at the show. And we went international this year, which I thought was phenomenal, because we had people from attending virtually who are from Australia, from United Kingdom. We had a international cosplay submission from Japan, which I was like, we couldn't do that at our Long Island show. And it's not to say that, you know, we don't miss like our crowd in Long Island. It's just like, yeah, we want to grow this thing bigger to be a show for creators by creators. And we want to be the only and first Inbeon Con. We don't want to be like New York City Comic Con because they do it great. We don't want to be San Diego. They do it great. We want to be like, you know, our show where people talk about it. They could come to it. They could try new ideas. They could try new creative ideas. And that's what we set out to do with the show, where, again, the tagline reads, for creators by creators, because it's always going to be a creative show for fans to connect with creators.
That's really what sets it apart. I agree for sure. And something I've always admired about the work you do, whether it's with Inbeon or Nerds of the Round, which we're about to talk about, is how you truly love bringing people together from different fields. And I really love that. It's all about connecting and seeing how we can help each other grow. So what do you personally enjoy most about what you do?
It is the connection. It's because I guess like my brain works in this way where it's like, oh, if these people knew each other, because like when I was going to conventions, I saw a disconnect between people, and I'm like, you know, we're one big creative community. We shouldn't be disconnected. Like, we're all rights masters of our skill, and if we all got together, we're gonna create beautiful stuff. Like, if you look at it, if you look at the sense of a movie, you have your voice actors in a movie, you have your artists in a movie, you have your CG guys, you have your sound guys, you have various different peoples, you have your writers, and I'm like, that's what we all are. We're all essentially writing and putting together independent content that's like a movie. Yeah. And it's like, I'm like, yeah, if these people get together, I'm like, I'm pretty sure they'll create some pretty great, phenomenal stuff and all that. But also too, it's like, you know, it's just connecting on a genuine level where it's like getting excited when people are succeeding in what they're doing. I was actually really happy with when Caxa Craze reached out to Loose Scythe and they did a crossover episode. I was like, oh, that's dope. Yeah. I'm excited that you're gonna be on I'm not sure if the interview happened yet, but you're gonna be on G is for Geek. And I was like, dude, that's just awesome. I mean, and it's like, you know, I always see it as this, like, we all know people that other people don't know. It's like, you know, that's a way for us to connect and get to know each other, and for people who are our followers to know this other creator from a different network. And it's like, and I always want to be that person where it's like, you know, I know how great this person is. I want a lot of other followers to see that this person is great with their craft. And that's always what I try to stick out with. Is that because, you know, I'd say it like, I'm a fan of everyone who I've became great and close with, and who's been a guest on the show, who's been a guest at the con, and always genuinely excited when they are succeeding in what they're doing.
Yeah. And oh my goodness, that's such a beautiful way to look at it. And it's true. Like, if you just even look at a movie or an orchestra, anything, it's all a bunch of artists coming together for one thing. And their art is different, but it's their artists at the end of the day. And oh, that's really special. So yeah, it's like I said, it's like the cosplayer, that's the person that designed the costumes. It's like you have all these different creatives. It's like, yeah, we all come together, we're going to create some, like, and that's one of the principles too I learned from Creative Aftercon, is like, you never know who you're going to meet to help make your next project. And I've worked with a bunch of great people on helping with their projects, with, you know, and it gets me excited when a lot of people are like, oh, this project is dope and all that, this person great. I'm like, dude, you did that, you're awesome, go out there, keep doing it, keep being awesome. Like, again, yeah. like when we did the
the table read. It was more about because, I wanted to, it was fun getting to see that.
Yeah.
You guys do the table read and all that. But it was just to bring attention to this is a dope series by these voice actors that put it together, that was created by Keiko, and the assembling the cast and all that. We got to read the first episode. You guys now need to go over to the channel and watch all the full episodes. Do it now. Why are you still watching this episode?
Yeah. Could you tell us more about the content you produce at Nerds of the Round? I'm such a big fan. I love you guys. So please share with the viewers what you're all about.
With sharing the content, I have to share the history as well. Because Nerds of the Round did start with, it was me as the first nerd. And Lawrence was actually the first guest on the show.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it was Lawrence and Mayhem Mike. I don't believe I knew Tony just yet at the time, or I did. And I did know Tony at the time. And we filmed in my friend Steven's basement. We call it the dark episode. It's lost now. You can never find it. And it's not because we deleted it. It's just because the file got corrupted. It was just such a badly filmed episode, such badly edited. We were all still learning about this stuff.
Yeah.
And I give a shout out because it started on a channel called Geeks Unlimited. And it was 4 episodes on Geeks Unlimited. And then I decided that I wanted to split it as its own channel because I felt there was a difference in creative vision with the show. So it was just me on the couch, just chit-chatting with my friends. There was a rotating cast. Tony and Law were part of the rotating cast. And then I had approached Tony with doing being a co-host on the show when we went to a Pancakes and Booze. Pancakes and Booze, for those that don't know, it's an art show in a bar. Again, theme here. But they give free pancakes, and it's literally an art show. Like, people have their paintings up and all that. It's a pretty dope show if you ever get to go to. And again, they have free pancakes.
I think I would do just about anything for free pancakes.
Yes. It was awesome. And we had a talk in a McDonald's about him coming on, and he was like, dude, I'm there, and so that's how Tony jumped on.
Aww.
And then when we did our first creator series, we bumped up Law to co-host because he was like constantly a guest. He was always there as a guest. And it was like, he was kind of like that special guest slot. And we're like, dude, let's just bump you up to co-host.
Yeah.
And that's when really the Nerds of the Round was really born. We were doing audio work where we were doing creative interviews, interviewing indie creators. We were reviewing pop culture, which is what we do. I mean, we did our Game of Thrones. A lot of those are in audio. And that was pretty hilarious because that final season, woof.
Oh, yeah.
And so we just we just started talking about our favorite subjects, which was, pop culture. And I mean, we just retired the creator series, so we're finding a different way to implement it in our live shows now, kind of giving new creators like an extra, the first 20 or 30 minutes on the lives to talk about what they're doing. Because it was a lot of work with the creative series. There's a lot of production work going in, and the fourth nerd that people don't see is my wife Jessie, because she's the editor of the show.
Oh, really? So there's a fourth nerd.
Yeah, who no one sees in the front. She's in the background doing the editing for all the shows. So we retired the creative series to because she sort of started doing more editing for other stuff and all that. And it was really. I mean, I'll be honest, it was really tough to keep up with the pace with the creative series, but we wanted to showcase people, so we had to figure out a happy medium.
Right.
Because and that's just my advice to people. If you are starting to feel burnout, don't ever feel bad with taking a break. Just, do it. Take a break, charge that energy, because if you burn yourself out, it starts to become unfun. But
good advice.
It's the best advice I could pass. I worked on guys hard. They, I'm sorry, guys. No, but we all bring our A game and we put it together. and we wanted to give people a platform to showcase this stuff, but we also wanted to give a platform for people to come on and be able to talk nerdy, talk about all their favorite, like, you know, subjects. Like if we have a topic and everything, I would have to say our toughest topic we tackled was nerds and racism, it was a tough topic, and I'm glad we did it. We broke it out into a two-parter, and the creators that participated in that, I thank them. It was a tough subject, but it's something we felt we needed to do, especially at the time. And then, you know, we went right back into all the lighthearted stuff because we don't touch heavy topics. That was like that one time,
Right.
but we touch up on a lot of, like, you know, like, hey, we're talking about What If right now. We've talked about the Black Widow movie. We talked about DC stuff. We have running jokes and stuff. So it's just really us coming together and having fun with our guests and just connecting and just having fun. Like a lot of people have come on the podcast, like, I expected the podcast to be different. I had a lot of fun and all that. I was like, yeah, we don't want to be like, we get together every Monday for production meetings just to come up with like notes, like for topics to tackle. But a lot of the times, like, you ask us how did we go over those notes? No, these are just if it's like there's dead air, we have something to touch up on. A lot of the content that's on the show, it's just natural. Like, it's like if we were to buy a water cooler at a workplace and just talking, and that's literally like what we try to favor the show to be. We'll have talking points in case if we do get off the rails and we need to bring it back, because it has happened before. And it's also too, it helps out when you are dealing with guests who are introverted too. And what we do sometimes, we'll meet with them like in a pre-show to make them feel a little bit more comfortable that, listen, dude, this is a judgment-free zone. We're all here, we're all nerdy, we're all talking about our favorite topics. Let's go.
Why don't we switch gears again and play
Truth or Dare?
So, do you dare to play, Sebastian?
I will play your game.
All right, let's go for it. Truth or dare?
Let's go with truth.
All right. Is there something surprising about you that people may not know?
I don't have a lot of love for spiders. I have a little bit of a fear of spiders, a little bit of a fascination, but also a little bit of a fear.
Oh, is that right? I feel you. Yeah, they freak me out. Like the whole Aragog thing in the second Harry Potter film. Like, no, thank you.
I mean, it's a fake spider. It fascinated me, the design and everything. But then I'm like, yeah, that kind of freaks me out, because if something was that, and like, no.
Yeah, when you start picturing it in real life, that's when it really becomes disturbing.
Yeah, but yeah, I know someone in our D&D campaign who because again, people don't know I'm part of a D&D podcast too, that has a fear of spiders, and because I have a little bit of a fear but a little bit of fascination, I'm that jerk. I sent them the game, like, pictures of just spiders to him. He's like, stop it. I'm like, that's just a little bit of a jokester with him. I love him though. Love you, Joe.
Truth or dare?
We'll go with a dare. Let's spice it up with a dare.
All right. You've probably heard of this one, the classic. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Can you say that 3 times fast?
Peter Piper picked a pickle, but I can't even say it 1 time fast. Peter picked. I was bad at those. I always used to tell people, how many nuts can a woodchuck chuck when a woodchuck chucks wood? And I used to just say that. But yeah, Peter Piper, you see, look, I just, Peter,
but that woodchuck one, you just threw that one out there. That was good.
Yeah, that started with an old high school friend, Nilo, who used to when he used to attend the same high school, and he used to say it all the time. I was like, I'm determined to say that. I am going to say it. But Peter Piper picked up. Yeah, I can't say that at all. It's too many P's for me.
Too many.
I failed that there.
Oh no, you did really good. Thank you for attempting. Truth or dare?
Let's go with truth this time.
What is the most embarrassing thing you've ever done?
I'll go with public speaking. I had to give a nice public speech in front of a crowd of pro-Americans, and because I was so sweaty, I'm happy I had a white shirt under. But like you could see, because I was so nervous, I was just, and then the lights were just beaming down, so you're just like so hot.
Oh,
so it's like my shirt started soaking. I was like, oh man, this is not good. Well, that was embarrassing in front of our group of people.
Well, I'm glad you came prepared with the white shirt. And public speaking, you're so good at speaking, so isn't that interesting when you look back?
At that time, I wasn't. You asked to talk to me. I'm like, that's how I spoke to people. They're like, that's it. Speak up. I'm like, is it? Like, speak up.
Like, I am.
I hear you.
I'm speaking as loud as I can. Well, thank you for sharing that. And that's just amazing. It shows you never know where you'll be. And several years from now, you may be a pro at something like that. So.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Truth or dare?
We'll go with truth with this one.
What is the last song you listened to?
Oh, the last song I listened to, that's easy. Let me just turn to my phone. Electric by Miss Amani and the DNC.
Oh, cool. That's so good you had it right there.
Oh, yeah. I have a, how long is my playlist on Spotify? Hold on. I'll tell you right now. I have a 9-hour and 57-minute playlist.
Whoa. Now that is a playlist.
That's my like Zen playlist. Whenever I'm just drawing, I zone out and it just let it play.
Yeah, I bet it's a really good playlist. You'll have to share that sometime.
Oh, it's a long playlist.
Yeah.
It's just mix and match of stuff.
Well, thank you so much for playing that with me, Sebastian. You did very good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did it again, guys. You did it.
You did it. Woohoo. Something I would love to shine some light on is the fact that you are a very talented artist. And so even like when I went on your show, you drew that little caricature of myself and even Gun Lambton from Project Infinity. And you just do such a good job. So could you tell us more about your work as an artist, including your comic, Dead Planet?
No, I don't think I'm a great artist. I mean, that's just me being a heavy critic on myself. I mean, I lend my style mostly to like, it's definitely has an heavy anime influence. This is Dead Planet, some inside of the pages and everything. This was my artwork in 2016. Obviously it's different now because back then I have a tablet now versus my bamboo, which I was learning digital drawing when I did this. So yeah, my art style really lends for my love of anime and then comics. I kind of mix the two mediums up at times. Where I loved I grew up with 90s comics, which I used to love the whole like overdone and ridiculous looking characters.
Yeah. Like
they had like the big huge guns. I was doing that for a while, but then it's like I just fell in love with anime. And it wasn't like it was like the early anime, like Armitage the Third, Ghost in the Shell, and Akira and Blood and all that. And then like, just like even now, like seeing how it's grown and it's become pop culture now. It's no longer looking for your favorite anime on a VHS or borrowing it from a friend who burned it from another friend. It's like, you can consume this now. So it's like my style has really fallen into that animes category. But again, I try to give my own spin on it where I'm not just like it's influence, but also trying to give my spin of how I do my work and all that. I'm always learning and being a master student, not a master professional in terms as an artist, because I've always generally want to try to push my art and learn more and try to like grow in terms of what I'm doing. So like even like right now, like as an artist, I'm learning UX design, of how user experience. I'm learning I've went to Full Sail for computer animation, even though I don't use it. Sorry guys. But I'm more in love with the 2D animation styles and cell animation. And I know cell animation lends a lot with 3D, but it's just I wasn't like even though I like the Toy Story animation, I didn't like to work in Maya. I realize it's a little bit it's I give respect to all those creators who work in Maya because it's tough. Maya and ZBrush. You hear me? This was quick. This was when I used to do conventions. I drew Thor, Luigi as Thor. This was quick at a con. This was just me in traditional work when I'm not doing artwork in digital form. And this was a commission for someone at the time. This was more in line with the digital work. This was Century.
Wait, did you do the coloring?
Yeah, I did the coloring, everything, because I did all the work. I did it all through what is it? Photoshop, Illustrator, and I mostly use Clip because I like how it feels like it's like I'm sketching more. So
Such good work.
Yeah, I try to learn more with the digital inking because I want to get it more crisp, more lines clean. But it's like also too, for me, it's hard with digital only because I also in my brain I want to still get that messiness of traditional art where you still have that looking like feel and all that where it's like, hey, this little jacket, like I like this. So I don't want, I want it to be like, finished but not perfect, but at the same time I want the art to tell a story and all that, so like readers can go have fun and be transported to a different world when they're looking at the art style, and then playful. Sometimes I want the art style to be playful.
Yeah.
So
I love how you are sort of meeting these different styles into one. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, it's like I see a lot of, like when I worked in Ari's book for a comic book school, Mr. Stupendous, it was fun because the 3 pages literally had to be in different styles, and I had to do this flash page and had to draw in different styles. You could tell it's my style, but at the same time I was trying to take my style to emulate another artist style, like we did the Rob Liefeld 90s image style, which was fun to do. And like a lot of people make the joke that Rob draws a lot of patches, so I drew a lot of patches in the characters. They were like, yeah, in the 90s he didn't draw anybody's feet, he didn't do this. So I was picking up on doing a lot of stuff just as nods, as all the fun stuff. Because like Rob Liefeld was one of my favorite artists, still is. Because I love the out there characters he drew, like with Youngblood and all that. And then there was one style that had to be dystopian anime, and I drew inspiration from the 80s Fist of the North Star, like the earlier version of it. I wanted to, so I was just really trying to emulate that in the book, and then just had different comic book eras that I had to put the character in. So it's kind of fun with trying to not be limited to one style, but like try to take my style and mimic all these other eras and all that. I was like, oh, this is fun. Like the caveman scene, I was looking at 80s caveman art that they did for comics, so I was like, oh, it has like this etching style to it and all that, like the heavy inks with like not like Nor, but like it's just the ways they did it look like scratch and all that. I was like, I want to try this. So that was fun.
You really learn a lot when you study other people's art styles. So Now, what are your current goals, and where do you see yourself, say, 10 years from now?
In my big house, I see myself in my big house 10 years from now, my own office.
Oh, yeah.
And a grill in the back. But
made of gold.
I see. So what I'm working on right now, I'm working on an original IP with Inbeon Studios. I'm still hoping to work on the Dead Planet remake with Alex. It's just schedules have been, just trying to figure out a schedule. But I'm working on an original IP with Inbeon Studios. We've been trying to talk about getting this IPs launched for a while now. I've gotten through, this is the 4th introduction for this IP that I'm working on. So it's been through the ringer with different iterations and everything like that. And it's now landed into, I'm not going to share too much because it's going to be a nice big surprise for Inbeon fans of the comic book series that we're putting out there. 10 years from now, I'm hoping to have a few stories produced, a few scripts produced where something can be turned into a live action or an anime. Because I like working with Eric. I learned that, like as much of this as it's like, I love the comic book field, but the goal is to build a business that could help sustain me and my wife's lifestyles in terms of wanting to continue to create stuff for people to binge on, to watch, to enjoy. Like I love stories that help transport me to other worlds, like just feed that imagination, whether they borderline on pure fiction or they have a little bit of realism to it to make it like, oh, it's gonna hit home. Like for example, Squid Game, like that's doing for people right now. That's it's a great story, but it does pull from realism in there with stuff that's going on today. And I'm like, this is why it's number one in Netflix right now. I really want to create stories where it's like, that either you get a fun story that just generates you to another world, or a story that just really makes you question or learn from other cultures and learn from that. I want to create stories more with more diverse characters out there, which is something that in the beginning I didn't think of. And when I started this journey of comics, I was like, I want it, and it's the business school and everything. I told them, like, you know what, I want to be different. I want to create stories with characters that they're just more diverse backgrounds, shows more community, because I grew up with a very diverse community. I grew up Hispanic, Puerto Rican. It's my nationality. That's my culture. And going like with the people who I met, people who I know people from various different backgrounds, and growing up in New York, that's what I saw. I didn't see like it was like black and white. I saw it was like just multiple cultures of people. And I wanted my stories to kind of showcase that melting pot. And so that's what I want to, in 10 years, I hope I've delivered great stories that people love. And even if it just touches one person that they love, and like, I want to keep coming back for more. I love this world that you created, and and lay a pathway for future creators, open worlds and open sandboxes where they could come in and play with those concepts as well.
Well, that really matters, and I think you're well on your way, Sebastian, so I can't wait to see it.
I can't wait till it's done.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, it's the hard part about being an artist. It's a lot of waiting.
It is. And I mean, what's great is that ever since the con, we've started a lot of new stuff to help motivate each other, help each other out with projects and everything, because in this creative life, it can really be lonely when you're doing it by yourself. So we actually been holding accountability meetings every Thursday, with meeting up, going over some of the scripts, giving feedback and everything. And it's been great feedback where it's allowed for this fourth iteration of this script to be worked on. And because like if I told you about the first iteration of this script, the first story, it'd be like, wait, what are we reading? What is this? I don't know. Like Dead Planet, like I released it. It is not a great book, I will tell you that, but I'm happy because I finished it. Now it's like I wrote down the revamping for it, and then I showed Alex. He's like, yeah, we need to work on this, dude. I'm like, yeah, we do, because it helps to have that extra perspective, because when you're the only one writing the story, you're seeing what you want to see. And obviously, yes, I'm creating a story I want to see, but then it's like you have to take a step back and be like, but others are going to see this too. So let me get other feedback. And I'm thankful because we all go into this field of constructive criticism, where it's like, we're not taking it. I don't take anything personal when it comes down to it, because generally I'm getting the feedback from people, and that's how you have to take it. Never take that personal from anybody. That's the best advice I could give when they're giving you general feedback to help you make your stuff better. So it's like I sat there and I thank everyone who's given me the feedback that I've gotten on the current IP, and also too with talking with Alex when it comes to the remake for Dead Planet. So
yeah, it just helps you be more objective when you get that outside opinion, for sure. And so, yeah, could you tell the fans what they can look forward to from you and where they can best keep up with you?
Yeah, I mean, the fans go forward is continuing for us to build a community through Nerds, through Inbeon, and through various other networks. That's what we're going to continue to do. That's what I'm going to continue to do as well, because we want to see communities like the MLA entertainment community grow bigger. We want to see the comic book school community grow bigger. We want to just connect people. You can find me every Tuesday on the Nerds Around on YouTube, or you can listen to us on Spotify or any podcast app. Right now we're on 8 platforms, I believe, like Apple Play, because we upload the episodes that week. at Inbeon, which is INBEON.com, or InbeonCon, which again, we're already plotting for next year for the show, with expanding different categories and everything. And sorry, I got an itch on my nose. And also too, you can find me every Saturday on the Medusa's Cascade podcast. If you love D&D, I do play a character in that podcast. It is a direct Inbeon podcast where we got together in February of 2020 and started recording this. It's been a great experience. It's been a great team building exercise, and it's been a great way to voice characters, and it's been a great tool for character building, which has helped like get into like characters' heads and all that, like in a headspace. So yeah, that's where people can find me as well.
So exciting. Everyone go check it out right now. You will not regret it. It's such good content, so much to enjoy. And so that wraps up another episode of Keiko's Diary. I want to say thank you to our listeners for their love and support, as well as Sebastian for joining us. So glad we were able to have you on.
I am Sebastian Bonet, and for MLA Entertainment, check out our original web series, Project Infinity. And as always, keep being creative.
Thank you, Sebastian. You heard it here.
Thank you for listening to Keiko's Diary. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We would love to hear from you. Write questions and comments to show your support and share this podcast with your friends. We'll be back with another exciting episode before you know it. In the meantime, keep being creative.